Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Rachel and I'm doing a Q&A today, answering your juiciest questions. And I haven't done one of these in I think a year. Was my last Q&A, which is right when I started my channel. That one talks more about like my background and who I am as a person. If you want to check that out, I'll link it down below. But in case you're new here, I'm 24. I'll be 25 next month in April. April 11th is my birthday, and I am kind of sad that I'm turning 25 because I feel like we're just getting older and older, and I don't know how I feel about that. I am married to my high school sweetheart. His name is AJ. And we live in this house that we remodeled together. I'm a Christian. What else? Oh, I work for my family's company. So my dad has a stone business, so I work there primarily. And then my mom just opened up her own dermatology practice, so I've been working there as well. So I kind of just go back and forth. I also do YouTube, obviously, and that is basic facts about me. So without further ado, let's jump in. What program did you excuse me. What program did I finish in college? I graduated with a finance degree. Don't use it at all, which I feel like is super common. I currently work mostly in change orders and / project management for construction. Best and worst Amazon purchases. If you saw my last video, the rug that I bought was absolutely hideous. That was my worst Amazon purchase, but it was only $100. My best purchase has to be my Skims dupe that I found. I will link it down below. It's like the best dupe for the Skims robe set. So comfy, so cheap. A lot of questions about travel plans. Yes, we're going to Washington, D.C. in a few weeks to see the Capitol. I've never been, so I'm really excited. And then we're also going to visit my friends Selena and Jenna, and it's going to be so epic. So that's going to be a weekend trip. And then we're actually planning a family vacation to Costa Rica this summer. I'm so excited. We normally do a family trip once a year. Last year we went skiing, and this year we're gonna do a tropical vibe. Update on your car purchase. So I am looking to buy an SUV sometime in the next year or so. I currently drive a Hyundai Veloster, and I just want a bigger car, especially if we have kids. So no update. I'm not in a rush or anything. I just want to save up, and maybe once I get pregnant and like actually start needing the car to put a car seat in it, that's when I'll like seriously start looking. Have you ever questioned God's time? Have you ever questioned God's plan in times of distress? I would say I don't really question his plan. I question if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in accordance with his plan. So if I find myself in a rough situation or going through a tough time, I question myself and I say, God, did I go somewhere you did not want me to go? Was I paying enough attention to like really listen and hear your voice guiding me which way I should go? So it's not that I question him. I question, have I made a misstep? Have I done something without consulting him first, and that's why it's ended up in a disaster, if that makes sense. So constantly working, constantly learning. It's just part of being a human. What's your hair color? And then another question on if I would ever go back to like dark brown. So my natural hair color is this. I would say up to right here is my natural color. So it's like a medium brown, and then I just get a few highlights towards the front to get like a little bit of dimension. So that is my hair color. I actually need to go soon because I haven't been in a while. Any bad habits that you want to get rid of? Wow, you guys are going hard. Yeah, definitely trying to control everything in my life. That's definitely not a good habit. Trying to control my husband, my friends, people at work, just trying to be in control of every situation. I need to work on letting things go. Just going with the flow and just being more flexible and more fun, because I feel like flexibility equals more fun because you're more open to saying yes more and doing more fun things and not just being so rigid and like by the books. I always get this question, why did you and AJ choose to get married so young? I saw a TikTok about this recently that really explained it well. It's not that we were young, it's that we were ready. Like we had been dating already for 5 years, and I am a Christian, so I do believe like having a life partner and marrying them is like a good thing to do if you find a person. We kind of knew that God had brought us together, and that we felt 110% confident that we were each other's person, so there wasn't really a reason to push off that commitment because we were so sure. Now, if you are young and you are not sure and you have like a gut instinct about maybe this isn't right, then I would say definitely don't get married. And actually, I've been watching Mikkel Jancy here on YouTube, and she has been such a light when it comes to this, because she shared her experience of going through a young marriage that didn't end up so great. If you guys want to check her out, I'll leave her channel down below. If you're in that season of life, definitely check her out, because she talks about how she wishes that she listened to her gut more. And I would just say follow your gut, and if your gut is telling you that it's right, and your head of course, but if you have like a gut feeling that it's not right, listen to that. Do you ever think you'll do YouTube full-time? I've answered this question probably 10 times, but the more that I think about it, the more I see that potentially being something that I do, especially when I have kids. I feel like that will be the season where I like dive into YouTube 150% and like dedicate that, because right now I'm having a hard time balancing work, family, friends, YouTube, health. Add a baby onto that, something else has to go, and it's probably going to be work, if I'm being honest. Life is hard, you guys. Making decisions is hard, and doing YouTube full-time is a risk. I do make a good bit of money. Like, I could survive off of my YouTube money, but it's still super risky and uneasy. It makes me uneasy because I would be giving up a secure salary to do something that's very variable. So that's really scary, but it's definitely something that I can see myself doing in the future. Favorite perfume? Tom Ford Black Orchid. That's my favorite, and it's gender neutral. I get a lot of questions on how to start getting brand deals / do you get a manager right when you start your channel, or do you have to wait? You have to have a channel already. You have to already be accumulating a lot of views. I would say at least 1,000 views per video to start kind of getting brand deals. And then once you build up your own reputation, that's when you can reach out to managers, or managers will reach out to you and you can partner with them and get deals, and that's how it works. But to answer the question, you have to be already in the game before that happens. How is your mental health doing? That's a great question. To be honest, December and January were probably the hardest months that I've had in a while. And I tried to be really positive on here and like not show too much of that, although you guys did see me have a few breakdowns. Like, I couldn't hide it 100%, but I tried to not make every video focused on how like down I was, and I don't even know why I was down. I think I felt like nothing was really changing in my life. I wasn't really growing in any way. Things were stagnant, work was hard, my channel was kind of not doing as well, and it was kind of really sad. I was really sad. And then January, we did no spend January. That was really hard in the sense that we didn't do as many fun activities because we were trying to save money. That really helped me realize how much going out and having fun is so crucial to your mental health. And then in February, I decided to get off the birth control pill, which kind of gave me a passion. It gave me like a reason. I'm really happy that I got off the pill. I have a whole video on it. I just feel so good. I told you everything I was going through, but basically I was in a really good mood, and I had really bad headaches. Those were like the two main things that I noticed. I was in a great mood. Another thing I will say is that I'm just so much more, I don't know, it feels like a weight's been lifted off my shoulder. I feel less fogged up. I feel like more clear, more vivid. Like the world is more vivid, if that makes sense. And yeah, I feel really good right now. I still have bad days, don't get me wrong, but to answer the question, I'm doing pretty good right now, and I'm really grateful. Do you have a brother? Thought you were an only child. Yes, I do have one brother. He is 4 years older than me, so he's 29. He just turned 29, and he is also a dermatologist, so he is working with my mom. That's the only sibling that I have. How did AJ propose to you? So he proposed at the beach. We live in South Florida, in case anyone's new. He said he built this wooden platform out of wood, and he painted it white, and it was a heart, a shape of a heart, and it was big enough to fit both of us. And then he had like lanterns, and like he built like 2 wooden structures with like sheets on it. and then there were candles. It was really pretty. It was really nice. But the funny thing is, he told me the day of, he was like, he's not good at lying or keeping secrets. He basically like indirectly told me because he was just so excited to like tell me and all that stuff. So it was nice. It was really special. What is something being a wife/life partner has taught you? That is a great question. It's taught me that I'm not always right. I'm not always kind. I'm not always respectful, and that I should be more of those things. Not that I should be more right, but I should be more kind. I should be more respectful. In order to make it work, you have to sacrifice your pride and you have to pick your battles. And that's a really big thing that was hard for me at the beginning of our relationship. Even before we got married, we went through a really tough fighting phase. I would say it lasted 2 years. We were fighting every day, but we never broke up because we knew that we would come out of this eventually. That really strengthened us. When we came out of that fighting phase, we were able to be like, okay, I'm gonna sacrifice this, you're gonna sacrifice that. We're both gonna take our pride from here to here, and that's the only way that this is gonna work. I would say it's just taught me to be a better person in general. When you are living with your spouse, you're just faced with situations every day where you can either be the worst version of yourself or the best version of yourself. And it's actually a challenge, and it's exciting sometimes to be like, this is challenging, but I'm gonna challenge myself to be the best that I can be so that this works. And both people should be doing that so that you guys are constantly growing and becoming better people. How not to be bored with your spouse. Staying with the same person forever. How do you do that? Plan fun things. Plan weekend trips. Plan date nights. If you are not doing anything fun with your spouse, it can really cause issues, especially for people like me who are like constantly wanting new experiences or just a new environment. So I would say, even if it's just going on a simple date night to your local Chipotle, whatever it is, do something that's unusual for your routine. Spice it up. It doesn't always have to mean in the bedroom. Go for a walk at a park that you've never been at. Go to the beach and get an ice cream. Do something out of your normal routine and do it together, because that is so simple, but it really just brings you guys together. Another thing that's brought us together lately is me charting my cycle. Hey, Vinny. And just sharing that with him and being like, hey, look, I think I ovulated yesterday. How cool is that? Even though we're not trying to have a baby, we're actually trying not to have a baby right now for a little bit. But it's just like something like, oh, I didn't even know like your body did that. And just me sharing something from my heart that I'm focusing on and being like, hey, I'm really into this lately. Look, here's my chart. Like, how cool is that? Look, blah, blah, blah. Just share things. Don't keep it in. Don't keep it in, which is something that I do a lot. Like if I'm like irritated, I won't tell him like something that I'm going through, and then that just builds up resentment on my side. But as soon as I share that with him, I feel so much better. So I don't know if that made sense. Advice for not arguing with your partner every day. One of you has to give up. One of you has to say enough. And that doesn't mean physically saying enough. It means even if they're mad at you and trying to pick a fight with you, you do not respond. You are like this. And it doesn't happen overnight. Give it a week. If they're constantly like in your face, like trying to pick a fight, because that's usually the dynamic between you two, and you stop for a week or two, they will stop. Trust me, they will stop, because they're not getting a reaction. And then they will be so humbled when they realize what's going on. They will just, most likely, I'm not saying for sure, but they will just be like, wow, I can't believe you did that. Like, I can't believe you stepped back. And it just makes them feel so humbled and like want to do the same thing towards you. AJ and I have had seasons where both of us have done that. Like, he stepped back and then I've stepped back at different points, and that is a really humbling experience for the other person, and it will almost always end in reconciliation. You can only control yourself, so stop. Where do you plan to move once you sell your house? We don't have any plans to sell right now because of the market. If we sold, we would have to buy a house for more expensive, and that doesn't make sense. But to answer the question, we would stay in the same area because all of our family is here, and I think family is super important. But if like I could pick anywhere, I would pick North Carolina. I love North Carolina. I think it's the perfect mix of cold and warm and trees, and there's also a beach nearby, and I just think that that would be perfect. When you decide to have kids, are you doing a natural or hospital birth? I'm gonna be in the hospital probably. I am a big proponent of modern medicine. I don't think there's anything wrong with being in a hospital or getting an epidural or literally doing whatever you want. And I just would feel more comfortable being in a hospital, especially since there's the big risk of complications. AJ and I talked about it too, and he is also on the same page. So that could always change, but again, everybody do what you want. That's what I would want. I would probably get an epidural too, because I am such a baby when it comes to pain. I don't want to be in unnecessary pain, and that is my stance on that. How many cavities do you have? Okay, I feel personally attacked by this. The last time I went, I had 2.5 cavities, and I haven't been since, so I don't know. What is something you have always wanted to do that you haven't started yet? We really want to go to Japan, but we can't because they're closed for business. I've always wanted to be my own boss, like something with AJ. So whether that's like owning some properties and managing that as like our business, or just like being self-employed with multiple things going on, like not just YouTube, but like having YouTube and properties and stocks and maybe another business. That's always been my dream. What do you think about sex before marriage? That is a deep question. Hi guys, I'm editing this video and I kind of tried to skirt around this question and this answer because I was kind of caught off guard. I didn't prepare for this question at all, but I do want to answer it after thinking over the past few days. I do want to answer it because I really want to be open. So I am a Christian, most of you guys know that. So I do believe that God has called us to save ourselves for marriage. I believe that he has put this into place not to restrict us and tell us you can't do this, but it's more so to protect us and protect our hearts and to just kind of give us the ideal life guideline. So that's what I believe, and it is in alignment with the Christian faith. I hope that wasn't like a huge shocker to anyone, but I also acknowledge that not everybody holds the same beliefs that I do. I understand that many of you guys watching may not agree with my belief. I'm just sharing my belief, and I hope that you guys can receive that and not judge me for it, because I'm kind of scared to even say this, just because I don't want to offend anybody and I don't want anyone to feel like I'm imposing my beliefs on anyone. But again, I just wanted to answer the question, what are you doing? I also want to expand upon it a little bit in case anyone's curious. If you're not curious, you can just skip forward. In church, if you've ever been to a church maybe at a younger age, they often use the analogy of here's $100 that, let's say, God gives you, and if you do something sexual with someone, you give them, let's say, $5 or $10, and by the time you get married, if you've exhausted your $100, the analogy kind of says something like, well, then the value in your bank is lower. Okay, I cannot with her right now. She's like trying to be in this vlog. So basically the analogy is like you spend all your money by doing things with people, and by the time you get married to your husband or your wife, you have exhausted all your funds. But I also want to emphasize, which I feel like in some sermons they may not emphasize the next part enough. If you find yourself in a situation where you feel like you're too far gone, your worth is zero, you've spent too much money, I want to tell you that your worth is not defined by what the world tells you. If the world tells you that you're worthless because you did XYZ, I just want to remind you that through God, we have been made clean and we have no reason to feel worthless because our Creator finds such pleasure in us, his creation, and he can make all things new. I didn't want to avoid the question. I don't want to be like shady. So yes, those are my beliefs, and I really hope you guys can receive that without judgment, the same way that I don't judge any of you. I hope that you can do the same to me. And I thank you for allowing me to share my belief. So let's get back to the video. How do you and AJ tackle trust issues? I actually did a whole podcast with Anna on this topic of boundaries and setting up guidelines for your relationship so that you don't even have trust issues to think about. One of the boundaries that AJ and I set up were not having one-on-ones with the opposite sex. That includes physically, like meeting them somewhere one-on-one, or even like phone calls or text messages. Now, don't get me wrong, I still think you can text and like talk to a girl, but there needs to be boundaries, and you and your spouse need to come up with those boundaries together and make sure that you are on the same page so that there's not even like a worry one way or the other about trust issues. If you're not on the same page, that's when trust issues can rise. AJ went to Gainesville recently to hang out with his friends for a weekend. Because we're so on the same page about what's okay, what's not okay, there was nothing for me to even worry about because I trust him through history because I've been with him, so I can see his actions. But because we're on the same page, there's nothing to worry about. Now, if I was saying, I don't want you to do this, but he was saying, no, I want to do it, then that's when issues could arise. So I would just say, have a conversation, make sure you're on the same page, set up some boundaries that you guys both agree with. Do you ever think you could survive in a service job like cook, server, on your feet all day? No. I used to twist for tips. I was a balloon twister. I made balloon animals, and I would be in restaurants for 4 to 6 hours, which is a short shift compared to like all day. But I would watch the servers because I had nothing to do. I was just standing there waiting for a kid to come in and ask for a balloon. So I would see the servers. So I kind of saw like how much that job sucks. You're constantly on your feet. You're constantly worrying about other people's needs. And it's just a very like fast paced environment, and props to all servers and like cooks and stuff because that is hard crap. Do you have any names picked out for your future kids? Yes, I'm a freak. I have a list of names that are in my notes. I'm sure a lot of people have this too. But lately, I've been like trying to narrow it down even more, talking to AJ and just saying, do you like this? Do you like that? And it's just really fun to do. I love it. So yes, I'm not going to share them because I don't want anyone to steal them, but I do have boy names that I like and a few girl names that I like too. What is your biggest regret and proudest achievement? My biggest regret is not starting my YouTube channel in college. I feel like I could have been so good with that college content. Day in my life in college, college move-in vlog, dealing with roommates. Like that would have been so good. It would have been so good. My proudest achievement is growing my platform and having a community of my own that I can share my deepest, truest self with and hopefully provide encouragement and entertainment to people. Like, it's so epic. How do you balance living a God-fearing life but also wanting to succeed in the world? Guys, I'll finish with this one. This is a constant struggle. If you listen to the podcast, we talk about this almost all the time because it's such a relevant thing to today's society. I'm someone who really thrives on success. Monetarily, socially, business-wise, health-wise, relationship-wise, I love success. That's my core belief. If I'm not successful, I'm not worthy. So it's a constant battle trying to kill that and say, my worth comes from God alone. And it doesn't matter how much money I have, how many subscribers I have, how in shape I am, how my relationship with my husband is doing at the moment. My worth is constantly derived from the love of God. It's really not easy. I would say something that helped me is daily prayer, praying daily. It can be challenging at first to get into the routine of that, but what I do in the morning is on my way to work, I only listen to worship music. And during that time, I pray. I pray for everything under the sun. And I have a really good time. It really sets me up for a good day. And then the same thing at night before I go to bed, I pray a few minutes. It doesn't have to be long, but that little change really helps me to remember what is true and what is good and what's not good and blah, blah. And of course, doing your devotion, reading Psalms and Proverbs is like a really light and easy thing to get into if you just want a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of a reminder. Just pick up a Bible, open it halfway, and you'll be in Psalms and Proverbs. Just read a chapter a day as you get started, and it'll just be like literally life-changing. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A. Like I said, I'll link my first one if you're newer here and you want to get to know more about me and my background. I'll link that first Q&A down below. I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate this community. I feel like I can truly be my authentic self with you guys, and I'm just so in awe of God's goodness. So thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.